Thanks for joining us, everybody. This is our first edition of Rage Quit Mondays, and I'm joined today with my good friends, Mr.
This is Joe, aka I Am the Dentist.
And this is Matt, and also known as Loydmilligan.
And you all know me, or you should know me, Mr. Holiday Doc. And we've kind of paired up to create a new podcast. And I know a lot of people have been waiting, wanting, and looking to hear from another podcast from myself. And Loydmilligan, Joe the Dentist, were kind enough to put an offer on the table to team up with them, bring you guys something new and more innovative than all the other podcasts out there. That's why you should download us every week and subscribe to Podbean, right?
Definitely.
So, big news this weekend has to be the MLG event. First time Black Ops is showcased at a major event, and first time Call of Duty has been showcased at these events in 3 years, I believe. So, big news, big teams, lots of upsets, lots of stuff to talk about. Dennis and Lloyd, how much of the event have you guys picked up this weekend?
Well, I watched a couple of hours, just in between. I kind of had it running on the computer while I was playing, and, I was trying to watch it and ignore the commentators, but it got a little ridiculous in there, some of the stuff they were saying. But, I probably caught 2-3 hours maybe total.
I'm about the same. I don't know the results at all, so I'm anxious to hear what happened, honestly. But, I caught like maybe 2 or 3 hours as well. It's pretty cool.
Well, I guess we can start with, let's just be frank. Let's start with the new guys that they hired to run the live stream, run the commentary, run the play-by-play. The one guy got a really good voice, but should he be commentating video games? Or at least Call of Duty?
No.
I don't think so.
No. And look,
he's got a really good hockey voice. Like, he seems like a hockey
radio guy.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Here's the thing. I like how the Canadian goes to hockey.
Yeah. So here's the thing. People are going to assume, by the way, that you're bitter. And I'm talking to you, Josh. So people are going to say, oh my gosh, Holiday Doc, you're just bitter because you didn't get the job. But I am an unbiased source. I had no interest in applying for the MLG commentating position. But you can't, if you play Call of Duty and even play somewhat competitively, you know that these guys don't know anything. And it was very, very evident.
Right, in 5 seconds.
The first video that I watched, and I didn't even watch the first couple of matches. It was later on the first day. So, people that are going to say that you're bitter that you didn't get the job, I don't think that's a fair assumption. I think that haters gonna
bitter.
hate.
I'm bitter in a different way. I'm very pro gaming. I don't know. I'm an advocate for it. I want everybody and anybody I can to get involved in professional gaming one way or another. If you're going to sit in front of your Xbox for 4 to 5 hours a day, why not be productive with it and join the cause? So that being said, when we leave off with Hastro and Fwiz as the main commentators for our Call of Duty circuit, and we're replaced with guys who introduce themselves with no competitive gaming background, the one guy wasn't even signed up on Game Battles, they haven't played competitive Call of Duty before, how is that going to benefit our community and get us the recognition that we all know and want?
Yeah.
We can't continue to make these events bigger and better unless we have the professionalism to back it up.
A good product. Unless we have a product that we can show other people and they'll understand the excitement, understand what makes these games fun to watch. I mean, it was so dry. That's what I noticed. I watched about 2 hours. It was just, they didn't know, like, when someone made a good play, they didn't seem to know, And that's it's so obvious if you played for 10 hours when you should be excited,
Definitely. I noticed that a lot too. I noticed there was plenty of opportunities for them. Someone would just make a ridiculous shot, get a 2-piece, get a 3-piece, and it was just they were talking about something completely off topic.
I forget which game it was. I tuned in for maybe a couple minutes while I was at just out and about, and one of the players, like the stream was so bad you couldn't even catch names sometimes, like just the quality of how it was showing up. So I didn't catch the name of anything. The guy had grabbed the flag on Havana CTF, single-handedly worked his way through Zig, bottom yellow, and through the points and back through Revolution Wall. He then killed 2 opposition guys directly on his flag, returned the flag, and scored for the winning flag cap. And these guys were too busy talking about some lame joke about the Havana and the heat or the weather or some bullshit. I was floored.
Yeah.
I'm like, your job is to point out what matters on the screen.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
I was...
Yeah, the times that they should be talking about other stuff is times when there's slow minutes. But the thing is during these games with the respawns, with people going down and people coming up and switching players constantly, there's always something to be talking about during the game. And I know that it doesn't have to be... I know people are going to say, well, there needs to be a little bit of entertainment. But the crowd for this event and the crowd that's going to be watching the streams are going to be gamers that want to, they want to hear that kind of stuff. I don't want to hear the guy talking about, something ridiculous that doesn't pertain to the game at all.
And with that comes the knowledge of the game itself. The very first point where I almost threw my headset off my head listening to it was when they were commentating on their first firing range CTF game. The round 1 had ended. They had already proceeded to call the team that was winning winners. The game pushed into second round, and they were confused. We seem to be having technical issues. They seem to be replaying the map.
Yeah, that is unacceptable.
Then, the second time it happens, domination is played in 2 sides. The game ends, they called winners, game restarts, we start to push in, they didn't know what was going on. We're like, hold on with us, we are not really sure what's going on.
Yeah, so do you think that that's a failure on MLG's part, or do you think it's a failure on the commentator's part?
MLG.
Because you think it's I'm not talking about their hiring job. I'm talking about the specifics that they should have known about. Do you think that MLG should have said, here's our listing of our rules, here's how the games are played, just a basic rule set of what's allowed, what's not allowed?
No, because our resumes that we had to fully type out and submit were legitimate organizational, I'm going to apply for a job resume. They wanted to know what your Call of Duty background was, what your competitive background was. Have you made, produced, or been a part of any sort of video production, media production of any sort? So I think it's a failure on both parts. One, I think MLG was looking simply at the voices and bypassed, the knowledge and just thought that they could pick it up with the 3 weeks we had prior to the event.
But they didn't. I mean, think about that. The domination mistake you just mentioned. Have they not commentated a competitive domination match before? Is this this is the very first time? Like, that just seems insane that they didn't have them practice, right?
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I mean, that's the thing that's like, okay, the event is this date. You know that you're going to be commentating this. I mean, did they... I don't think they did any background on the teams outside of the top teams because they were all over all of the top teams. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, literally, you have to watch one game to know that it's played in 2 sides. They didn't know anything about that. They didn't know any of the rules, the basic rule. I mean, the FAMAS with the grip. I mean, that right there was probably the biggest.
I didn't hear that.
Okay.
No, the guy said they all should be running FAMAS with a grip.
No, he said a good way to reduce recoil on the FAMAS would be to put a grip on it, or it may have been a personal favorite was the FAMAS with a grip. But I'm actually, while we're on this topic of ridiculous quotes, I actually have compiled some Just give me a sec. You guys can continue the conversation while I pull them up.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that kind of stuff like FAMAS with the grip. Come on, it's not a submachine gun. Like, I mean the basics that they didn't have were appalling.
I was thinking that I'm all for entertainment, but you need to have at least one guy who knows his shit, right?
Right. So to me, this is kind of like Dennis Miller on Monday Night Football.
Right.
It's a huge flop. Like, the guy doesn't know anything about football. He's there just for entertainment purposes, and that didn't work
Dennis
because
Millers.
yeah, it's like you need somebody that knows the sport and can commentate, because I mean look at any professional sporting team, any professional sporting league, anything. I mean anything at all, baseball, football, soccer, anything. They look at even MMA does it. They have one guy that's one guy that's a commentator. That's his job. He's a radio guy. He went to broadcasting school. He does the promotional shtick. He does the main sort of stuff. Then you have the secondary guy that's the expert that they can break down what's going on. He can talk about the specifics. So even if they would have done one of those, like one guy that didn't know really what he was doing,
right.
but he knew how to run the production, and then one guy that was versed in that kind of thing, and that would have helped.
Yeah, the thing is though, he wasn't even both the guys. They weren't funny either. They weren't clever. They weren't witty. They weren't exciting to hear. You know, they just had like strong voices. At least the one guy did. Like there was no redeeming quality to what I heard, at least. You know.
No, and I agree. I mean, seriously, it's like hiring people to call a baseball game that have never watched a baseball game before. You know, they went to broadcasting school, but, you know, there's 3 outs. What are they? They're leaving the field. Wait, the other team is coming. What? Like, I mean, basically the same type of thing. Like, they're playing another side. Like, what? There's a halftime? Like,
all right, here we go. You guys ready?
Yeah, let's hear them.
They're getting so many 2-pieces. Swimsuit outlet is going to be jealous.
That's like Boom Goes the Dynamite.
Yeah, screw that shit.
He seems to be using a crossbow. I'm pretty sure that's a technical. Why isn't anybody called that?
That guy, wow. Okay.
He's using gold camouflage. Do you think that's puts him at a disadvantage because he's so shiny?
Come on, these are real?
These are real.
Oh my god.
And then, of course, the FAMAS with the grip. And just to go back and verify that it's not so much I'm bitter that I didn't get the job. Like, essentially, here's how it went. I did get the job. Then they figured out, I don't know how, that I was Canadian, or I don't know how they didn't figure it out sooner. I put it on my resume. It's on my YouTube channel. It's on everything I do.
Right.
So once they found out I was Canadian,
Big maple leaf.
they didn't really want to work with it and go the extra mile to hire me. So
do you think it's because of like travel costs, or do you think it's because of the whole MLG game battles anti-Canadian vibe?
I don't know, to be honest. I asked. I never got a reply. But Team Fear Moho on his Twitter tweeted out, and he said something along the lines of, "I've never been so disappointed in commentary in all my life. Holiday Doc should have been the one for the job." Speaking with a couple other pro teams, Holiday Doc, MLG Dallas would have been better if you were commentating it.
Yeah, I think there's no doubt about that. I mean, when it comes to the competitive scene and competitive gaming and you know, getting people involved and breaking it down and showing introductory players how to be involved in competitive, you know, it's definitely, you're the resource for that. So I don't understand. I mean, I guess that's what I asked earlier. Is it a Canadian thing? Is it travel?
But even so, like you were saying earlier, Doc, I mean, whether you got the job or not, I would have preferred someone good to get the job, you know?
Yeah. It seems they bypassed that severely.
Yeah, I mean, that goes back to my thing. Like, you have to have that expert that sits in there and can tell the other guy when he's being an idiot and correct him when he says something stupid like FAMAS with a grip or gold camouflage makes him shiny. Like, I mean, you have to have somebody in there that can, even if it's one person, like I said, if you can have that one production guy that knows the, how to work, a TV broadcast, but you have to have that guy that can sit in the booth and
Were these
there's
guys?
a reason why.
Were these guys on
all these
camera?
people-
Yeah.
Yeah. And they started getting a little testy towards each other towards the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like, they were like, there was one point where they were almost arguing. Like,
Yeah.
it was going back and forth, and the guy was just like, okay, agree to disagree, let's move on. And, because the one guy actually called something right, and basically told the other guy he was an idiot in so many words, and the other guy was refuting it with even more idiocy.
Nonsense.
So,
Yeah,
Doc,
and then-
Doc, when you applied, did you have to send in a video of you talking?
Yeah, we did that trial play-by-play that everybody had to do. It was the same video that every applicant had to use, and it was a very dry, boring game. And the whole objective was to, include your audience and somehow get them involved in the game, no matter how boring it might get. And
Right.
I'm not really sure.
But did you have to send in video where your face was showing?
Yes. Yeah, they asked for a couple of headshots, but no video.
I see.
Yeah. But, it is what it is. I'm sure there's going to be some major changes in
You
the
think they're
next
getting
coming
fired?
weeks. I don't know if they're going to get fired. I don't think they're going to be there at the next event.
Yeah, like I said, I can imagine one of them, but they really need to get somebody that knows the game. And that's not saying that those guys can't learn it. I mean, they can learn that stuff. I mean, there's 2-3 months between.
There's 2
now and
months.
then.
Yeah.
2 months, a month and a half, basically. So, yeah, I mean, they can learn it. The problem is they didn't know the call-outs. They didn't know basic rules about the game. I mean, it was just a huge fail. Like, when did they announce that this guy was hired? It's been a while, right?
Yeah, it was like, it wasn't even announced. It was just, he got told that he was hired, and then he started telling people. Or they all did, I guess, but I don't even know. Let's focus on some things that they left out that I felt really should have been showcased. Now, when they explain the LAN event and how it sort of works and how these teams or how teams are adjusting to the LAN environment, they really forgot to mention that a lot of these top players that do very well from far away distances, 3-bar, 2-bar connections on a regular basis, for them adjusting to basically a zero latency connection, you're really going to see a lot of these really good players turn into extremely good players. And there's a couple guys in particular, like Nadeshot plays from, not a local area from the rest of his team, and he did get picked up very last minute due to Rambo, with a personal illness. I'm not sure what it was exactly, but he couldn't actually show up, so they picked up Nadeshot, and Nadeshot carried Optic pretty much to the finals, or at least to third place, sorry. And it was right at the start of the game, or sort of start of the whole series, these commentators called him a sandbag that was going to weigh them down. Like, if these guys had known how these players are, even though he wasn't on the team, he was a backup, and he's a veteran to the Call of Duty series. So I don't know where they came up with that whole conclusion. And I don't know. It's hard for me to talk about this because there's just so much that I felt like would have made the show much more complete and much more acceptable for new viewers and get people involved, I guess.
Let me ask you something, Doc. You just pointed out, I guess, a big difference between an event like this and playing, normally on your normal connection. Is there anything else major like that would affect stuff?
Whoa,
Lord.
what was that?
I don't
I
know.
don't know. Feedback there. Weird.
Is there anything else? Yes, obviously playing on a stage, some people can handle it, some people can't. we got all those people looking, staring, yelling, screaming.
Hang on 1 second. What are all the games on like a stage, or is it only towards the end, or how does it work? I've never been to.
Stage games are usually set up between. In the start, it's kind of random teams get thrown on the stage, but during the end, it's big names that they want to showcase and get commentated on and all that stuff. So, there's a couple teams that got thrown onto the main stage that were using Mac 11s and Ghost, but
On purpose?
on purpose, yeah. But that's what you get. Like some of these events, right? You can walk in day of and just play with your team if you want, and that's kind of what happened, I think.
So there's no qualifying or anything?
Well, the qualifiers get seeded, so all the guys who play in the online qualifier beforehand, those are the guys that receive the buys for the very starts of the event, and they don't have to play the initial round 1, round 2, round 3. They would if enough players showed up, I'm sure, but with only a few hundred teams at the event, or I don't even think 100 teams showed up this time. I think it was about 70, maybe 65. But even still, that online qualifier allows you to skip some of the initial matches.
I see.
So it's like what, $10 entry fee is it per person, per team?
I'm not even sure what the entry was this year. I know that you had to buy a team pass, and I think the team pass was like $200 something bucks. So
you probably had a lot of local kids showing up and getting involved.
A couple of teams had mentioned that there was a lot of non-competition that showed up, and that's fine too. But these teams really need to understand what they're getting into before spending that kind of money. I would definitely recommend playing some competitive games before just showing up at an MLG event.
Yeah.
It's like just giving money away.
Right.
Yeah, just jumping into the deep end.
With no
Crazy.
water wings.
So what do you think was the biggest upset? Do you think it was Team Fear going down?
Yeah.
I mean, not getting upset. I mean, they got beat by Optic, right?
No,
Or
they
was
got
Envious?
beat by Envious in the losers
Envious,
bracket. Well, I guess the first major upset was the fact that they lost to Ground Zero 3-0 or 3-1, I believe. And the one kid on their team was like 14 years old.
Yeah.
And Team Fear just got steamrolled by them. I don't think they recovered. I think there may have been some team issues, and in the losers bracket they had to face Envy, and that's never going to be any good. And they just couldn't hold on to that victory. Last week they had 2 major roster changes. They didn't have enough time to prepare with their new guy, and it just didn't work out for them. But I think they'll be able to recoup at least and hit up Columbus with a much better standing. I think they placed top 12 or top 8. I know that they got pro status, so that's definitely a bonus.
Right. So who did they lose? They lost Choppy, right? And who was the other player that they lost?
Well, they went through so many roster changes in the last 3 weeks. I'm not even sure who they picked or who the 2 guys that they lost first, but they ended up playing with J-Bone. And from what I heard, J-Bone did really, really well online when they were doing the online qualifiers and playing with teams online, but when it came to the event, from what I hear, I don't know 100%, but just from hearing from a couple different teams and a couple guys that participated, that he pretty much choked. And a lot of things can come and make that happen, right? Like you're on the main stage, or if you're on a stage, you're on the LAN event, you're nervous. Team chemistry is obviously a big thing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean you're definitely gonna have those jitters regardless. I mean, I still get those jitters just playing regular team scrims and stuff. Especially if it's a good team that we're playing against. So I can imagine, if it's your first time, or even if it's not your first time, getting up there on main stage and
being new to the team also. That's big.
Yeah, that is big.
Playing and
But
not wanting to look like an idiot in front of people that are actually there to watch the actual games.
Yeah.
I think one of the the biggest new teams that's going to be an up-and-comer to really showcase their skills all throughout the year is going to be Resistance. And these guys are pretty unknown, fairly new team altogether. And they came in second place. Behind them was Optic at third place. And Optic had a really hard uphill battle all the way through this event. And their last-minute roster changes didn't seem to really hurt them. In fact, it seemed to really benefit them as Nade Shot pretty much like backpacked a few games that I've seen. And then in first was Leverage, and Leverage was I wouldn't call it a sure thing, but they were definitely up there to place top 3 anyways. You know, their past ladder finishings on the 25K and a couple of them at the Vegas event, where it was, you know, they're all really good players, so it was pretty much a no-brainer. Other than that, I don't know. Dallas it was informative. You know, I definitely what I predicted is going to happen is there's going to be some player agreements, contracts go down after this season or after this event, because there was way too many last minute roster changes and people dipping and a lot of not so cool acts.
People trying to poach people from other teams. Is that what you're talking about?
Pretty much, and yeah, that's a whole nother topic.
Yeah, I bet.
So, what's going on with you guys past this weekend, and I guess your own stuff? COD Anonymous is doing fairly well. You guys are producing some great videos. Let me know what do you guys got planned for that?
Well, actually, we're going to keep going with the Spawn Shop series. Everybody seems to be digging that, so we're going to keep focusing on those videos, and we're just going to keep pumping out the competitive stuff. We've just been doing nothing but team scrims for the last probably 2.5 weeks, maybe longer. Not doing anything but that, you know, trying to stay away from pubs and getting rid of all those bad habits that you pick up there. So yeah, we're going to keep going with Spawn Shop. You know, we got to kind of space them out because it takes so long to make one of those videos.
Yeah, production value is definitely up there, though.
Yeah, we're taking probably like 8 to 12 hours, I would say, from start to finish. You know, because each one of those videos we have to watch. You know, I'm watching probably, I'm trying to watch probably 5 to 10 games. Just to make sure that I got the spawns right before I go ahead and post stuff like that. So, you know, that takes up a lot of time watching those, mapping those out, and, you know, coming up with the best kind of strategy type stuff in the way to portray it. So, but, you know, that it takes a while, but it's worth it, I think, because I learn probably just as much, if not more, than people out there, because it just really forces me to look at the maps and focus on the things that you need to focus on when you're playing. So
yeah, for those of you guys that don't know, we Joe and I have a small channel called COD Anonymous. Check us out, and yeah, what he's talking about is videos where we map the spawns in MLG variant games, and yeah, like you said, we've seen a lot of you know, good competitive players put out videos like Doc, but there's not a lot of stuff from beginners, and that's kind of what we are. That's kind of our viewpoint. So yeah, check us out if you get a chance.
Now you guys are a tag team special. Who's the brains behind the operation?
Do you really need to ask that? Come on.
Depends on what time
Lloyd's
you catch
Lloyd's what's called the workhorse. Oh. It's like, you want me to move that big rock?
Yeah, if you
if
you follow me on Twitter, you'll see the day where I wore 2 different shoes to work, so that might help answer that question too.
Yeah, definitely.
How did that even happen?
Okay, let me explain this. I wake up at like 5 a.m. to go to work, and sometimes I leave my shoes in the bedroom. So sometimes I go in there, it's still dark outside, I don't want to wake up my wife, so I leave the lights off. And, yeah, so that's how it happened.
That
Got dressed in the dark.
Still doesn't figure it out, because
well, they're very
different.
they're close. They're very similar.
When you wear them, like when you're walking, you can't tell the difference.
I guess not.
That's the part that I'm struggling to believe, because then you do it like 2 days in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then somebody else had to point out, like, I can tell when I got, like,
Yeah.
I'm not wearing the right socks.
One
And
of
you're
our-
like
one of
two
our
different
customers.
shoes.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's nice. Now I'll give it up to Lloyd, man. He's doing all the editing. He's doing all of the video work, because I don't have a PVR. I just freaking thank God for theater mode. That's all I gotta say.
When are you gonna get a PVR?
I'm working on it, man. I just finally got my setup, getting going. We got a new desk coming Tuesday. I finally switched over to a monitor, so I'm running a 21.5-inch Samsung LED right now, which is pretty sweet. I'm loving that. And next up is that.
You're gonna have to
The-
go
the
Black
PVR.
Magic though.
I know I got
Oh,
HDMI,
yeah.
so Black Magic.
You're gonna need
Here
a
it comes.
PC. You can't run a laptop.
I know, man. Tell me about it. Just throw money at this hobby. I got enough with you trying to sell me those psychos and everything else.
Lloyd, yeah, I haven't really talked to you. Are you interested in buying a headset today?
Dude, I
12 easy payments of
No
Can
kidding.
you get me a good deal?
no.
Well, then screw you. No, actually, I was gonna say I already ordered some.
Really?
My
Did you order them from competitivegamingaudio.com?
No, I ordered them from Amazon because I had a gift card.
They were on there?
Yeah, they were.
The Carbons.
They were, yeah.
Wow.
And supposedly they're already in the mail,
Really?
which I think is they're not supposed to be, right?
No. The
Yeah.
Carbons,
Well, then
Carbons aren't out till
don't-
the 7th.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have to take a
Tomorrow?
look at it and make sure they sent me the right ones, but that's what they're labeled as.
Hmm.
My HPA 2's broke, and
How did you break those? That's what I want.
I think they're actually pretty cheaply made. I opened them up to try and fix them, and the stuff is like what broke on them is the mic connector, the little
Mhm.
jack for the mic, and it just came unseated. Like it got pushed back a little bit, and it's just held in place by a little dab of hot glue. That's all.
Wow.
And then when like trying to fix it, basically, I think I messed up that jack a little bit, so it didn't have good contact anymore.
Well, I would
Pissed me off.
I'm definitely gonna want to hear your review on the difference of headsets as well. Just 'cause everybody thinks I'm biased simply because I get invited to go down there. They give me a few free headsets.
Why would you be biased?
I don't know.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'm pretty honest with headsets because I got Astros thrown at me and I threw those right back. So
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I was seriously just gonna replace my HPA 2s, but I did a lot of research, and it seemed like most people said they were slightly better.
here's the thing: Turtle Beach HPA2s have a little bit better. I think the word is fidelity. It's more of a studio sound headset
Right.
where it's just as good as for gaming as it is for maybe audio listening in the full effects. With the Carbons and the Kryptons, it just feels like you're actually in the room or you're outside in the gunfight in the shit. Like I don't even know how to explain it. Like I put the Carbons on, and Homefront is a good example because Homefront has much better realistic sounds. Like
Yeah,
when you're in that
I
game,
agree.
it's like god damn, it feels like I'm in the shit right now.
Dude, I agree. I accidentally bumped my woofer on the HPA2s, and I was like, my whole head was rattling. I was like, Jesus, I gotta turn this down. Like, my ears are rattling, my hair in my back of my neck
Yeah,
standing
how's
up.
the
and I'm
how's the bass on the Carbons?
Good, you can turn the bass up, but the thing is with bass, it gets in the way of your ability to hear the directionality of the other sounds because your mind can't process directionality on bass
Right.
for whatever
No.
reason. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, and if you're playing Homefront with 32 other people and they're all throwing grenades,
Mhm.
Yeah, I think the bass
You can't hear
is
anything.
actually too loud on the HPA 2s. Like I kept mine at like 2.
Yeah, mine was pretty much off.
yeah, 2 or 3 is where I run mine, and Homefront I pretty much turn it off because I can't handle it.
So Doc, what's the difference between the Carbons and the Kryptons? Krypton.
Slightly the Kryptons is the lower, essentially the lower end, but I wouldn't say by much. It's still the same headset, still the same mic and everything else. The difference is with the Carbons, it's got a little bit better bass driver, and the top end drivers are slightly more advanced.
So how do you feel about the mic being on the other side?
I don't like it.
I was questioning that.
I've always
because
had the mic on my left hand side. It's a little bit awkward, but being able to have a relationship with these guys, and pretty much signing on with them for future development, I got a say in kind of how to mold the next version of this headset. And I want to go back to the whole directionality thing with the Carbons. Okay, so when we're in like home front, and a sniper rifle gets fired from my top left 11 o'clock, if it like 100% really feels like it's coming from that 11 o'clock, and then I hear the echo bounce off the buildings behind me and then float back over the headset, essentially. So it's unbelievably accurate when it comes to directionality. Are they going to be able to improve the overall sounds in the next coming headsets? Absolutely. Is it on par with the HPA2s right now? Definitely.
Good to know.
Someone said that the weight distribution is a little funky because the speakers are in the band. Is that something you noticed?
The headset is a little bit heavier than the HPA2s. It's the same weight as the Tritons. So, but the weight really doesn't come into a factor because, like gamers like us, we already got the headset on for lengthy periods of time anyways. Like a headset now is second nature. Right. So a couple, like an ounce heavier it's not really going to make a difference. And that's really the only gripe major reviewers have. And, Wired.com is getting their headset review out this week. There's another tech Engadget, yeah, there you go. They're doing their review this week as well. My review is going to be out this week. Also, the commercial for it is going to be out this week, starring somebody.
You're in that shit?
Nice.
Yeah. Nice.
Very cool.
Do you have any lines?
Like that. Go ahead.
In the commercial, do you have any lines?
Yeah. Audio
nice.
is the new weapon.
Oh, nice.
Cool. Yeah, that's one thing that I was going to say about the HPAs. Like, they feel really heavy when you pick them up, but when you put them on, like, I don't even know that I'm wearing them half the time. So that's one of the things that I would be like, that would be one of my other concerns, like, if I was going to, do a review on that. Would be like, is it, like, can you tell that you're wearing a headset, or is it just like any other thing? Because, like, I'm wearing X11s right now to do this podcast, and they're uncomfortable. Like, I want to take them off. But when I'm wearing the HPA2s, like, I don't even notice I'm wearing a headset.
X11s are so light.
Yeah, they are.
They just don't fit my ear really well. Like, the HPA2s are so much, like, cushionier. Like, no, I actually have a little head, but, like, the cushions on the ears are, like, so much nicer. It just feels
the
weird.
Carbons out of the box are a little bit tight, and I've got a little head mannequin that I have for my headsets anyways, so I just put it on there and let it stretch out a little bit. After I got past that point, it feels like nothing's there.
Is that a pro tip? Get a little head mannequin?
Yes, that is a pro tip.
Pro tip. We need little sound cues like they have on radios. Ding, pro tip.
I want to get a whole bunch of them to showcase like all my headsets and have them as like a little
display.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool.
Nice.
Because I've got the X11s, I've got the X31s, X41s, I've got the Triton 720s, the 180s, I've got Astros, I've got the HPA2s, the Carbon, the Krypton, and
dude, you just got a lot of
the
headsets.
Sennheiser PC350s.
Hope you got insurance, Broham.
What do you think about the Sennheisers?
The Sennheisers are good, but they're a studio headset. They really are.
Yeah. So, like, as far as directionality, the HPA2s, outside of the Psychos, is where it's
exactly, yeah. 100%.
That's what I run with. That's what I run with under your recommendation. Like, that's why I tried them out, and I mean, it was night and day for me, but I was only running X11.
Oh
so
yeah, that
I
must
don't
have been like
I don't have
an
that.
insane difference.
Yeah.
Oh,
huge.
it's ridiculous. Yeah, it's not even fair.
Yeah, I switched to the AX Pros from the X11s,
Oh my
and those
god.
were a huge jump up. And then I got the HbA2s like, I don't know, 6 months later, something like that, and they put the AX Pros to shame.
I told you that too, and I remember having a conversation with you. You were like, "It's probably not that big of a difference, dude."
I don't remember that.
I try to tell him that too every day because I was
Well,
like tired of his mic
I
cutting
just,
out.
I just think like these have the same amount of speakers. Although I read a lot of stuff before I bought these last ones, and a lot of people claim that having multiple speakers in each ear cup is like a waste, and I just don't know how that could be true.
Well,
Because the
It's
difference
about
seems
the
vast.
it's about where the sound goes into your ear.
Mhm.
I mean, not to get like super technical or whatever, because I mean I read the reviews on the Psychos from Mason at competitivegamingauto.com sponsor bar. Where's the
Ding.
the music for that? Yeah,
Cha-ching.
sponsor. Yeah. But I read his review, and the way that they have they're kind of like tunnels that funnel the
Mhm.
sound to the direction of your ear that creates.
it's really
the-
hard to explain
the-
without a visual background.
Yeah, I mean, but it's like just think of just pretend. I mean, I haven't seen the headset, but you have 5 different tunnels that are directing sound into each part of your ear that tells you where something is at.
It's using replica sound waves that you would actually have flow over your ear from any sort of source. So, excuse me, there's 2 tubes that come in from each side of the headset, in the front and the back. Now the sound is directed directly over your ear, not pushed in like a traditional headset. Like when you have a regular headset on, the sound is just being forced directly into your ear. With the carbons and the krypton, sorry, it flows over your ear, and your ear is able to process that sound in a way that it's already used to. So it makes it just much more realistic.
Right, and then doesn't it funnel to your other ear? Wasn't there the delay? Isn't that like what creates the effect that it comes in and then it because obviously if you need to hear something from your left,
yeah.
the left side needs to be louder.
Okay, so how that works is the drivers up top are spaced accordingly. So when something on the left side fires, a fraction of a second later, your other side gets the sound. So it's positioned and it's not processed. Like stereo headsets process that difference, and they try to guess how different it's going to be and the wavelength and the difference of times, but it's not accurate.
Yeah,
That actually
and
makes sense.
Yeah, and then that's really the selling point of the headset. So
Well, I think
Honestly,
I'd be
it
interested to try 'em.
it sounded gimmicky to me.
Yeah.
But the reviews don't lie.
yeah, I'd be interested to try them, but I can't justify it right now.
I know.
maybe if somebody steals my HPAs.
The dog just ate him. I don't know what happened.
Be careful. Don't even say that because he will do that. He's a freaking bastard.
Well, we're
He's a-
getting quite along into this podcast. Do you guys wanna wrap her up with something, a topic, or?
Yeah. What about your channel? We never talked about your channel. Everybody knows you. We're just the little guys here. What do you got coming up? What's on your plate? I know you've been super busy.
Yeah,
So
I'm
what's up with that?
working with a few different companies and trying to really make this a full-time deal, because essentially it already is. Like, I'm putting more than 40 hours of work into YouTube stuff. So, I've got VWS trying to pick me up as their event coordinator. Not event coordinator, but handling all their YouTube channel stuff, their team channel stuff, grabbing footage, and doing all their videos. And then
So what is VWS for people that don't know?
VWS is a gaming organization, slidersfury.com. They've had tons and tons and tons of top teams over the last couple seasons on all the different Call of Duties, and they're trying to make their mark this year as a pro team, but unfortunately this season their pro team decided to last minute not participate. So they're kind of rebuilding for Columbus. And then I've got another website that's going to be coming out I think it's going to be a really good way for new guys to really get their feet wet in the competitive scene and have a chance to, earn some cool prizes. They got a really cool concept to their site, and as long as it, stays 100% legitimate, I think it'll be a really good way to just kind of, earn some cool stuff. And then from there, there's another site that's coming out that essentially is just a place to go and grab team scrims from a place that's not game battles. So, again, another great way to start off your team with some competition on the same level as you're looking for, instead of getting steamrolled in the battle section.
Yeah. So, what do you think about the possibility of an MLG playlist hitting Black Ops?
I keep hearing this rumor. I don't even know if it's...
It's because Vaughn mentioned something.
Yeah, Vaughn's been tweeting and kind of playing coy with it, but it keeps...
Fucking needs to happen. It need to happen like 3 Call of Duties ago.
Why not?
Yeah,
right?
so,
it's got to be so easy to do.
Yeah, I mean, they do bare bones. They do, all other types of limitations. I mean, it's just there's no reason they can't do it. So do you think that would benefit the competitive community more?
Oh, yeah, because if they were to call it the MLG playlist, the millions of people that are like, what does MLG stand for? They're going to go look it up, they're going to join competitive ranks, and they're going to get involved. So it's a win-win.
So here's my next question with that. Do they have to get MLG permission to do an MLG sponsor playlist type thing? I mean, can they call it MLG playlist?
No, Vaughn was saying that I think he was planning on meeting up with some of those guys in Dallas. So I'm sure they're trying to work out those details now.
Yeah, because I can imagine that MLG would be like, sure, you can call it MLG playlist, and we'll not take anything from that.
Well, Halo's got it.
So I'm sure that... but do they have an affiliation?
No,
Is there?
I don't think so.
No.
It's always been called the MLG playlist, so I don't understand.
Yeah.
They could get around it probably. Call it the Major League playlist or pro
competitive playlist.
Yeah, it would just be cool if that became the place where all the good players played.
Yeah. Well, the pubs are a joke.
Yeah.
I mean, not a joke in the sense that whatever, you can't go have fun, but it's like in this game people just rage quit. And I don't blame them. I mean, because we know we run with more than... We usually don't play pubs unless it's with a group. So we have, 4 or 5 people just messing around, and they're all good players, so we just go in and pretty much spawn trap people and kill them. And I can see how it'd be frustrating, but that's basically what happens when you play pubs.
Every single time.
You run around and you spawn trap, they quit, and either they forfeit or more people come in and then they quit. So it's like, I mean, and me and Matt have talked about this plenty of times, I think the biggest reason for that is that this game is so balanced, there's no way to be an asshole when you're getting beat up that bad.
No one-man army noob tubes.
Yeah, no marathon lightweight commando. You can't just run right into somebody and 40 feet lunge knife them. So I really think that's why a lot of people. I think that's why a lot of people are rage quitting and rage quitting so bad in this game. Is because there isn't that. You can break out noob tubes, fine. You might get a kill or two, then everybody switches to flak jacket, and you're back to square one.
Yeah, Ghost is probably the closest, but
yeah, Ghost is
a team can still destroy a team of ghosts.
It's just a little bit more frustrating.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because you expect to run around and...
I actually think that tack inserting is the most frustrating thing in Black Ops.
Only in headquarters.
Dude, any game.
Any objective game.
Yeah, any objective game, I hate it. I hate tack inserting.
Headquarters
I hate
is
that
the
more
worst,
than anything.
I'd say. Maybe CTF.
Oh.
Even Damo, like, if you have a whole team of people... If you have 3 people running tack inserts and 3 people running motion sensors... Oh my god, that is the worst.
Douche.
Because you just have people tack inserting on B, and then people using motion sensors on B so that the people that are respawning on their tack inserts know to get the guys on B. It's just like they weren't thinking on a lot of that. But that's
the thing that
another
bugs
topic
me
for another day.
is that the people doing the tack inserting are not the same people that were doing the noob tubing in the last game. It's like good players do it.
Yeah. And then it just becomes about not who's the better players, it's who can tack insert better.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way to
insertion.
beat. That's the only way to beat tack inserters is to tack insert.
Yeah.
I mean,
but
that's
in the end of the day, it's still pubs, and most of
Yeah,
those guys that
I
are
agree.
doing tag inserting don't even realize that they're doing anything.
Cheap.
Yeah.
I hear you.
But that kind of wraps us up. I think we are at the hour mark. This has been a blast for our
sure.
first
Yeah.
episode.
I'm ready.
Heck yeah.
Rage Quit Mondays.
I want to rage quit tomorrow
Oh my
already. I
God.
haven't even got there yet.
Yeah. I'm done. Just tell your boss I'm done. GG. Enough.
I would love that. Get good, boss. Get good.
All right.
Get on my level. I'm out of here.
Well, I'd like to thank you guys, everybody, that showed up and watched this entire or listened to this entire thing. I appreciate all the support, the love, the hate, you name it. If you got any questions, comments, concern, feel free to hit me up on my YouTube channel or my email. My YouTube channel being youtube.com/fatailerror with an I, FATAIERROR. And make sure you go to COD Anonymous, I can't even say that word, so you guys can go ahead and spiel that part out. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Check us out, COD Anonymous, YouTube /COD Anonymous, all one word. Check us out. Let us know what you think. It's all of our competitive stuff from day one, getting started on Black Ops, and trying to just give our thought process and our tips and tricks and what we've learned so far as beginners coming into this scene. We got in late on Modern Warfare 2 with a guy named Holiday Doc who kind of pushed us into doing it. And so we been going at it in Black Ops, and that's our journey basically on the channel. So check it out.
Yeah, check us out.
All right, guys, we are out of here.
Later.
See ya.